Hi, it's Father Tom Page, pastor of St. Jude in Grand Rapids and administrator of St. Anne St. Ignatius in Baldwin and Luther, Michigan. It's good to see you again. Today we celebrate the fourth week of the season of Easter. And the reading for the weekend masses, the second reading, is from the first letter of St. Peter. The gospel reading will be about Christ the Good Shepherd, as it is always on the fourth Sunday of Easter time. But in the year A, or the year that we're in now, the second reading is from the first letter of Peter. And it starts out this way. Beloved, if you are patient when you suffer for doing what is good, this is a grace before God. For to this you have been called, because Christ also suffered for you, leaving you an example that you should follow in his footsteps. It's written in the scriptures, he committed no sin, and no deceit was found in his mouth. When he was insulted, he returned no insult. When he suffered, he did not threaten. Instead, he handed himself over to the one who eternally judges justly. We have gone astray like sheep, but we have now returned to the shepherd, the guardian of our souls. And this is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. It's not fair. You've noticed that, haven't you, in the last month and a half? It's not fair what we have to put up with. And that's just the way it is. And we've taught our kids, well, I've taught your kids, but you've taught your kids, that there are times when things just are not fair. And that doesn't mean that we sulk or we react in negative ways. St. Peter, speaking to those early disciples of Christ, St. Peter, who ultimately was crucified upside down, St. Peter said to his disciples, yes, you will suffer, but do it in a way like Christ suffered. When insulted, when you find something insulting to you, don't try to go down to the depths of that insult and try to find someone you can insult for yourself. When something is difficult, don't try to find somebody else that you can make life even more difficult for. When treated unjustly or unfairly, we, like Christ, think not of ourselves, but what can we do for folks who are in similar or perhaps even worse situations? So I guess I'd invite you in these difficult days, and when much is being asked of us, to live in a way that follows in the footsteps of Christ, to suffer in a way that Christ suffered, to do what is right and good and just and true, even in the midst of difficulty. Because later earlier in the Gospels, it's often said in one way or another, it's easy to be nice when everything's going well. It's easy to be a disciple of Christ when everything is just fine. But now, these days, maybe this is a good test for us. This is a good way to judge ourselves. Just how much of a follower of Christ are we? And are we willing to follow even in the way that he suffered? Again, thank you for joining us today, and I'll look forward to talking to you again next week.